Before we dive into the world of the ultimate dinosaur tank, hit that subscribe button for more epic prehistoric stories. My friends, journey back with me, some 68 million years, to the very end of the age of dinosaurs. Here, in the lush, dangerous floodplains of late Cretaceous North America, lived a creature so perfectly engineered for survival, it was less an animal and more a living fortress. This was a world dominated by giants, where the shadow of the mighty Tyrannosaurus Rex loomed large over every living thing. To survive here required something special, a unique set of tools to counter the most powerful bite force the world has ever known. This is the story of that remarkable survivor. We are of course talking about Ankylosaurus. Its name alone conjures images of impenetrable armor and a devastating weapon at its tail. But how did this incredible creature come to be? How did it truly live? And what defense mechanisms did it employ in its daily battle for life? Using the very latest fossil evidence, stunning digital reconstructions, and cutting-edge scientific understanding, we will peel back the layers of time. We will reconstruct this magnificent animal not just as a collection of bones but as a living, breathing behemoth that walked our planet. Prepare to meet the ultimate Cretaceous tank. Our story begins not in the prehistoric past but in the much more recent year of 1906. It was in the rugged Badlands of Montana, a treasure trove of dinosaur remains, that the legendary fossil hunter Barnum Brown unearthed something extraordinary. He discovered the partial skeleton of a creature unlike many seen before, its bones fused together with thick bony armor. He named it Ankylosaurus magniventris, the fused lizard with a great belly. This name perfectly captured the essence of the animal. A reptile so heavily armored that its bones had seemingly merged into a single defensive shield. This initial discovery, including parts of the skull and its iconic armor, was just the first piece of a puzzle that paleontologists are still assembling today. The Ankylosaurus did not simply appear out of nowhere, it was the culmination of a long and successful evolutionary journey. It belongs to a family of dinosaurs known as the Ankylosauridae, a group of four-legged plant-eating dinosaurs defined by their extensive body armor. These creatures first emerged much earlier in the Jurassic period and diversified throughout the Cretaceous, spreading across the globe. Relatives like Euoplocephalus and Anodontosaurus roamed alongside Ankylosaurus in North America, while others like Seychania inhabited what is now Asia. Each species was a unique variation on a successful blueprint, but Ankylosaurus itself represents the largest, the last, and arguably the most formidable of them all, the apex of ankylosaurid evolution. Over the decades, further fossil finds have given us a clearer, though still incomplete, picture of this animal. Fragments of its skull, vertebrae, armor plates known as osteoderms, and of course its incredible tail club have been painstakingly recovered from sites across the western United States and Canada. Each new bone, each fossilized skin impression, adds another detail to our portrait. We can now look at these remains, housed in museums around the world, and, with the aid of modern technology, see the ghost of the great fused lizard emerge from the stone, giving us a tantalizing glimpse into its life at the twilight of the dinosaurs. To truly appreciate the Ankylosaurus, one must examine its anatomy, a masterpiece of biological engineering. This was no nimble creature, it was a heavyweight champion. Stretching up to 9 meters or 30 feet in length and weighing an estimated 6 tons, it was as long as a bus and as heavy as an elephant. Its body was low-slung and incredibly wide, a stable platform anchored to the ground by 4 short, powerful legs. This low center of gravity made it almost impossible to flip over, a crucial feature for a creature whose primary defense lay in the armor on its back. Every aspect of its design screamed defense and resilience. The most striking feature, of course, was its legendary armor. The entire upper surface of the Ankylosaurus, from the tip of its snout to the base of its tail, was a mosaic of bony plates called osteoderms. These were not simply scales, they were plates of bone embedded directly into the skin, forming a flexible yet nearly impenetrable shield. Larger, flat plates, known as scutes, were interspersed with smaller bony nodules filling every gap. Even its eyelids were armored with bony shutters. This was nature's equivalent of full-plate mail, a comprehensive defense system that would have deterred all but the most desperate and powerful predators. It was a walking citadel, a fortress of bone and keratin. And then there was the weapon. At the end of its powerful, muscular tail sat one of the most formidable weapons in the natural world, a massive club of solid bone. Formed from several large osteoderms fused together with the final tail vertebrae, this club could weigh over 50 kilograms. It was not a passive deterrent. The tail itself was stiffened by interwoven bony tendons, turning the entire back half of the animal into a rigid handle for this giant sledgehammer. With a swift, sideways swing, the Ankylosaurus could generate enough force to shatter bone, delivering a blow that could cripple or even kill an attacker foolish enough to get too close. Its skull was short and broad, its teeth small and leaf-shaped, perfect for cropping low-lying vegetation, a stark contrast to the devastating weapon it wielded behind it. Life in the late Cretaceous was a constant state of high alert. The air itself seemed to carry the scent of danger, and the apex predator of this environment was Tyrannosaurus rex. For a slow-moving herbivore like Ankylosaurus, survival depended on a sophisticated defensive strategy. This strategy was twofold, combining passive and active defense into a near-perfect system. The first line of defense was passive, its sheer appearance. The immense armored body was a clear message to any potential predator that this was not an easy meal. Its low profile meant a T-Rex couldn't easily get to its soft, unarmored underbelly, the animal's only true weak spot. When intimidation failed and a predator decided to attack, the Ankylosaurus would employ its primary defensive posture. It would likely hunker down, planting its feet firmly and tucking its legs beneath its body, presenting an almost invulnerable armored dome to the attacker. A Tyrannosaurus with its powerful bite might try to gnaw and break through the armor, but it would be a frustrating and energy-intensive task. The interlocking plates were designed to distribute the force of an impact, much like the armor on a modern tank. For a predator that relied on a single decisive killing bite, the Ankylosaurus presented a unique and maddening challenge. It was a living bunker, daring the enemy to break itself upon its walls. If hunkering down wasn't enough, it was time to deploy the active defense, the tail club. This was not a weapon of panic, but one of precision and power. The Ankylosaurus would have watched its attacker, waiting for the right moment for the predator to venture too close. With a mighty heave of its hips and tail, it would swing the club low and hard, aiming for the legs and feet of the T-Rex. A direct hit could have been catastrophic, shattering the metatarsals or tibia of the great carnivore. A crippled T-Rex was a dead T-Rex. In fact, some T-Rex fossils have been found with healed injuries on their leg bones consistent with a powerful, blunt force impact from below, compelling evidence of these life-or-death duels. Behind the formidable armor and weaponry was a peaceful herbivore. The anatomy of the Ankylosaurus's skull, its wide beak and small, weak teeth, tells us it was a non-selective bulk feeder. It couldn't chew with the same grinding efficiency as the duck-billed hadrosaurs. Instead, it likely used its broad beak to crop huge mouthfuls of low-lying vegetation, such as ferns, cycads, and early flowering plants. Its large gut, the great belly for which it was named, would have been a complex fermentation chamber slowly breaking down the tough plant matter with the help of gut bacteria. It was a slow-moving, slow-processing eating machine, constantly fueling its massive, armored body. The social life of Ankylosaurus remains a subject of intense debate among paleontologists. Were these solitary wanderers, or did they move in herds? The fossil record offers few definitive clues. Unlike hadrosaurs or ceratopsians, we have not yet found large bone beds containing multiple Ankylosaurus individuals, which would suggest herd behavior. This lack of evidence leads many to believe they were primarily solitary animals, lumbering through the undergrowth on their own. A single, fully grown adult was so well defended that it may not have needed the safety of a group. Its armor was its herd. However, it's also plausible that they lived in small family groups, or that juveniles stayed with their mothers for protection until they were large enough to fend for themselves. We can imagine them moving slowly through the warm, humid coastal plains and forests that made up their habitat, their broad feet preventing them from sinking into the soft ground. They would have shared this world with a host of other dinosaurs, Triceratops, Edmontosaurus, Pachycephalosaurus, each occupying their own niche. The Ankylosaurus was the low browser, the armored guardian of the forest floor, a quiet and unassuming presence until threatened. For millions of years, the Ankylosaurus lineage had been a resounding evolutionary success. Its design was perfectly honed for the world in which it lived. But no amount of armor, no weapon, however powerful, could defend against the catastrophe that was to come. 66 million years ago, an asteroid or comet, some 10 kilometers wide, struck the Earth in the Gulf of Mexico. The impact was cataclysmic, unleashing the energy of billions of atomic bombs. It triggered global earthquakes, continent-spanning tsunamis, and sent a plume of superheated rock and dust into the atmosphere, which then rained back down, igniting worldwide wildfires. The immediate effects would have been devastating, but it was the aftermath that sealed the fate of the dinosaurs. A thick cloud of dust and soot enveloped the planet, blocking out the sun for months, perhaps even years. This impact winter caused global temperatures to plummet and, most crucially, it halted photosynthesis. Plants withered and died on a massive scale. For a large, bulk-feeding herbivore like Ankylosaurus, this was a death sentence. Its food source vanished almost overnight. The entire food web, which had been stable for millennia, collapsed from the bottom up. The great plant eaters starved, and the carnivores that preyed upon them, like T-Rex, soon followed. The very specializations that made Ankylosaurus so successful ultimately contributed to its demise. Its large size required a vast amount of food that was no longer available. Its slow metabolism and slow movement meant it couldn't easily migrate in search of new food sources. Ankylosaurus, the ultimate survivor of the Cretaceous, vanished, along with 75% of all species on Earth, in the KPG mass extinction event. Yet, its legacy endures. While there are no direct descendants, its strategy of heavy armor as a defense is a theme we see repeated in nature, in animals like armadillos, pangolins, and turtles. The Ankylosaurus stands as a powerful testament to the incredible innovations of evolution, and a sobering reminder that even the most well-defended creatures are vulnerable to global change. From its discovery in the Montana Badlands to its final moments under a darkened sky, the story of Ankylosaurus is one of supreme adaptation. It was an animal designed from the ground up to survive in one of the most perilous ecosystems our planet has ever produced. Its interlocking armor was a shield against the most powerful jaws, and its tail club was a mace capable of felling a tyrant. Every feature, from its low-slung body to its armored eyelids, was a testament to the evolutionary arms race that defined the late Cretaceous period. It was a living, breathing testament to the power of defense. While its reign came to a dramatic end, its place in our imagination is, fittingly, impenetrable. It remains one of the most recognizable and beloved of all dinosaurs, a symbol of resilience and strength. The ongoing work of paleontologists continues to unearth new secrets, refining our understanding of how this magnificent beast lived, fought, and died. It reminds us that the ancient world was filled with wonders of engineering that rival anything in the modern world, all crafted by the slow, steady hand of natural selection over millions of years. Ankylosaurus truly was nature's perfect tank. If you want to know how it compared to Stegosaurus or if its tail could really break a T-Rex's leg, let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more prehistoric powerhouses.